Welcome live to my studio in my bedroom, guys. You know, I'm coming to you with what I have available to me as we are stuck in quarantine. And so I'm coming to you live from my bedroom in front of my shoe rack, which I know you guys enjoy because I see your comments and your feedback all the time, which is pretty funny. But I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Dawn, try and send me another request because when I tried to accept you, it didn't let me bring you in. Here we go. I see the request. Let's try this again. And Instagram, stop playing with us. All right, it says waiting, so that probably means we are good to go, and it's going to connect us. Awesome.
Hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm going to lower this so I have a little less, a little easier to see.
You know that's important.
I'm so sorry about that. It's so funny. I hosted an IG live TV this morning, and same thing happened with my guest. So I have total empathy for messing it up.
It's Instagram. Instagram, you know, once in a while, Instagram likes to hate on us, doesn't want to let us be great. So it just comes with the territory, as you know, because
of course.
you are on Instagram quite often. But I just wanted to thank you and welcome you officially to the Woman Who Roars series. I'm so excited to have you on today. So welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. So where in the world are you? Are you still out in Cali?
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles, holding down the fort. In my home, which is it's so funny, like everybody's going stir crazy and I'm like, I love this place. So I feel like I had Christopher Kennedy design it with me, and I feel like we designed it to be quarantined because it's like a vacation in here.
Absolutely. And if you guys don't know, Dawn's home belongs in like Home and Furniture. What are some of the major magazines like your home has been in? Just to give people some context, because
it hasn't been in that many. We were trying to get it in Domino, but I don't think they wanted it. But it's been in I've been in traditional home, but my home hasn't been anywhere yet because we kept it secretive. It was going to be kind of a big release, and then we didn't follow through on it. So now we've got to follow through because we have all these beautiful brands we worked with. So hopefully we will get photos done as soon as the quarantine is over. But yes. It's lovely though. These are actually Christopher Kennedy back here, and you can see it's a little messy in here, but like the little bar here, that's Christopher Kennedy. We've got we'll have to do a house tour next time.
Yes, we'll have to do that for sure. But I am happy you are well and in good spirits and prepared for quarantine and that beautiful, lovely home that you have.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start this interview with, tell the folks a little bit about yourself for those of us who don't know you, especially from like my community. Let them get a quick feel on who you are, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. I'm one of those people that has a lot of hats, so it's kind of annoying for your mom to have to describe what you do because, you know, how do you explain what I do? It's kind of like I'm partly me for a living, but it's a two-component thing. You've got the talent side, and then you've got my little media company. So for me, I'm a host and an actor, and I host Dine and Dish with Dawn, which is a podcast that's been a little bit behind, I think, by a year. The last guest we had was John Oates of Hall & Oates, but I'm thinking of actually starting it again during this because it's a perfect concept to be eating with a guest like this. Mm-hmm. And then it was also an event series, and I worked with like Pebble Beach Food and Wine, LA Food and Wine, Four Seasons Maui Wine, and Food Classic, and I would host like interactive experiences with influencers, celebrities for those events, and then we'd also do like dinner series and things like that, brunches. So that's like one side, host, actor, voiceover actor, lots of voicing. I'm having to get a studio in my home now because of this, so that's really interesting too. And then on the other side, of the media company, we do content creation and social media management and influencer relations, like with my fellow influencers. I'm not like an agent or anything. I have agents for that. Okay. But I kind of like get people connected. So I just love bringing brands or nonprofits together with influencers, celebrities, and everybody, just because I love getting the word out, especially right now when I feel like everything's a very collaborative time right now. You cannot have any ego involved in this moment that we're all in.
Absolutely not. And we're definitely going to get into that. But you said something I want to dive into, and you said that you wear many hats. So talk to us about what life is like wearing many hats. And did you decide that that's what you wanted to do? What led you to wear all these multiple hats? And then if you can also tell us what that's like. Do people kind of tell you? Because a lot of times people will try and tell you you have to stick to one thing and you have to do that one thing and that's your lane. That's what people will know you for. So
Right.
what are some of your thoughts around that as well?
Well, I have the dumbest joke. I'm so not funny, but I was like, if you wear a lot of hats, you gotta have a good closet for your hats. But my closet's kind of so I don't know. Thanks for laughing.
I got you, girl.
My mom growing up, it's really interesting. My parents, no childhood is perfect, right? We all know that. And my childhood, I've come to appreciate and respect it so much because my parents had resources, and I don't just mean financially. I mean, they were professors, and so they wanted to make sure that because they had been raised so poorly, like poor, not poorly, they were raised okay,
right,
but they were raised as poor children, and they wanted to get off the farm or out of the small town and really do something with their lives. And so I think that they almost fell in love maybe for that sole reason of we want to have a family and make sure that our child and our children have every resource available to them. So as soon as we were, gosh, I remember being 2.5 and I was in the Dallas Theater Center for acting class and for like being in plays. And then at like 2.5, I think I also started, what is it called? Suzuki piano, because I took an interest in piano, and everything I did, they said, yeah, you could try that. Let's try that. Oh, you're playing the piano with your brother? Let's get you in that. And I think my mom jokes that it probably ruined me because it just made me like love a lot of things. But I think it's beautiful. I look forward to doing that, with my own son. I really want, every kid to get to try everything they can. And that's why it's so important to me. Organizations like Step Up Women's Network, where they have teens and they get to try tons of different things and also have mentors. Because I think a lot of times we just kind of think, this is the path I'm on. This is what I'm supposed to do. I've chosen one thing. That's my major. That's my first job. Oh, now I've gotten married. Now I have children. And then all of a sudden your life has been dictated and you had no say in it. Right. So I think that those choices early on that my parents gave me and those resources, both intellectually and just adventurously speaking, like getting to try all these different things, I think it made me want to try everything I had a taste for. And so I've gotten to do that and I love it. And and I sang, like I had a whole career in Nashville, not very good, let me tell you, but I mean a career, but I made records, and I sang like at the Roxy here and made 2 records. And that's kind of a failure in my life. Like it was something that didn't pan out, whereas like other things have. And yet it was a failure, but it also wasn't, because it led to what real success was supposed to be, which is just being myself as I am, as authentically as I can be in a given day, depending on the circumstance.
Definitely. So your advice is don't feel the need to be put in a box.
No, and in fact, yes. And in fact, I keep joking about this with clients, and it's probably a little rote at this point because I've said it so many times. But I think during quarantine, everyone's like, I've got to think outside the box. Got to think outside the box. And I'm like, not just outside the box. You need to look like in the inner corner of the box, under the flap of the box, under the stamp, you've got to look everywhere, because it's going into the depths of yourself and your career and your talent and your drive, and finding all those little hidden things that maybe we've been, keeping under the label instead of really working at it. It's like, it is something that I think if we can unbury during this quarantine the parts of ourselves that either need a little bit of extra work or a little bit of cultivation or a little bit of nurturing or all the above, then I think we're going to come out of this being better people and better citizens for this world.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you. So out of all of those things that you currently work on, which is a very, very diverse portfolio, what do you say you love doing the most?
Professionally speaking, I mean, I love being a mom, family member. I love working with nonprofits. That just fills my soul up. That isn't always where the money is, obviously, but it fills my soul up to work with organizations like Step Up, with like No Kid Hungry. Like one of my favorite memories of the past year, where I felt like all of my dreams had aligned in one place at one time, is I was in overalls, super pregnant, like 7 months. Busy Phillips and Curtis Stone were co-hosting a No Kid Hungry telethon with me, and it was a No Kid Hungry live, which I was terrified by, but I had the most amazing director, Liz Zanin, who's done like a ton of award shows and, you know, comedy shows and all that kind of stuff. She's an amazing director, but she was just the best. I had an earpiece in, and here I am, like, out to here in overalls at one point, and I got to host this amazing telethon where we raised all sorts of money for No Kid Hungry, but more importantly, we were able to bring No Kid Hungry into the lives of people's homes that maybe don't see it every day. So there were a lot of people I knew personally, actually, that were like, are kids really going hungry? And I was, yes. You don't understand this? Like, the parents aren't able to supply the lunches that you take for granted because you pack them for your children. So that's an example of just what I love doing. When I get to align a cause I love, which usually also means that people in the organization are great, like with No Kid Hungry, along with other people I love, like Busy and Curtis, and along with my life looking happy at the moment. It's not always happy at all, but when it all aligns like that, you're like, I'm where I'm supposed to be in this moment. And those are the times I really love it. I love doing voiceover work. I love that. Because that's, first of all, it's just easy. I have to admit, like, you always feel like you're robbing a bank when you do voiceover work, because it's just like, that was the best, easiest thing. And then I think my first voiceover session back after being a mom was like 5 days or something after. And I actually took, like, we went to the studio. It was just like bizarre to me that that could happen. And so I love voiceover work, and then I love acting too. That's always really fun. So basically that didn't answer. I love everything. I love everything. I love hosting stuff because it brings everybody I love together, and it introduces me to new people. And I'm really lucky to get to do what I do, and I feel grateful for it every single day.
So you mentioned dreams. What are some of your dreams that haven't been realized yet?
I write a lot, and I haven't really, I have about 14 kids books I haven't really put out there in the world.
14?
I haven't, yeah, it's crazy. And they're not illustrated yet. Like, let me give you the caveat. Like, they're done, but they're not illustrated. But I really want to get those done because it means a lot more now. And then I have, you know, a lot of writing projects that are not finished, but I've really been disciplined about writing every day almost, or at least taking notes during this process. I'd really like to start, being more of an advocate for people. Even though it seems like I've done that, it feels like I've maybe barely scratched the surface of advocacy and what I'm supposed to do, because I feel like, to be really transparent, I feel like you can only talk about things you can buy so much, you know? I feel like at some point you've got to start talking about investing in people and less in products. And I feel like that is where my shift is going right now. It's like, I love products. It doesn't mean you won't see them on my Instagram today, in fact, because I was talking about multitasking. But I'm just ready to invest my energy in people, and people who need help and resources that maybe I have that they don't. And I'm not a wealthy person, but I mean, just time-wise, the resources I have just with time and what I do and the freedom of what I do is invaluable. And I'm realizing maybe going less about product commerce, going into materialism, and going more into, you know, all these organizations I work with, how can I actually be more involved in more of a professional way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Somebody's doggy is barking outside.
Mine's asleep back here on the floor. I've got to show you guys, actually. Miss Ellie is the cutest thing. Look at this.
Oh, Miss Ellie, hi.
She is now blind and deaf.
Oh,
still living her best life, almost 16 years old. She is almost 16, and she is really like living, you know, a very great life right now because her mom is home all the time and she's happy. We get to snuggle all the time. So she's pretty happy right now.
Yes, she is quite the superstar. That is for sure. She's got
She's always known it. I always say if I had her confidence, I feel like I would have gone even like much further or faster because she's just such a confident girl.
So when did you find your confidence? Because if somebody came across your profile today, they would think Dawn is confident.
I think what they really should think is, let's all be realistic, and Dawn is sometimes confident. Today, for instance, is a confident day because I had a great career day, and I got a few different jobs that came in that just totally shocked me, because it feels like everything has stalled. And then I did an IG live TV thing with at Shop El Paseo. I'm using the in Palm Desert, who's a client, and I got to do that. So today I felt confident because I felt confident about my business sense and what I do in the world. In terms of other confidence, I think that when that came about was in 2012. I'd broken up with my ex-boyfriend, who's my best friend. We're like brother and sister now. It's very funny. It's her dad. Miss Ellie's dad. But we'd broken up in 2011. We both had been songwriters together and in music. And, you know, I thought the world was over. Like, I mean, I really thought that that was it. I was a failed country singer. I'd moved back to LA and was working for my old boss. And then my relationship
Your old boss, Barbara Streisand?
Yeah.
Okay, let's make that clear, because, you know, we played that down a little bit. If you didn't know, now you know. Her old boss is Barbara Streisand. Like,
yes, I worked
Barbara Streisand. Yes. Okay.
I worked for Barbara for like about 5 years if you add it all together, I believe. But when you go back to work, you know, you're at your old job, which ended up being amazing, by the way, because I love her and I love the whole staff there. They're just amazing people, and people stay like forever. But when you have to go back to a job you used to have after you thought you were going to be a country music star, it's kind of, you know, that's a hard pill to swallow. But when I think out of that time where I felt like I was really, I felt like I was a shell of who I could be. And I remember I had a really good friend in Dallas say to me that I went home for Christmas and I was really down. I was like, I missed my relationship. I missed a lot of things that I thought were going to happen. A lot of the, God, it's making me emotional a little bit. A lot of the dreams that I thought were going to happen that didn't. And not even broke dreams, but like discontinued dreams, right? And I think that I got so sad. And then out of that, with my friend's one dinner, she was like, you know what? You're meant to inspire people, and you bring such joy, and right now you don't have it. How do you get it back? And I started a blog, never had even read a blog that ended up kind of taking off, relatively speaking. It wasn't cupcakes and cashmere or anything, but it did well. It's called Beauty Frosting. And then I started hosting out of that. Somebody said, you know, you have a personality. You should really think about being on camera. And I never thought about hosting. I thought you had to like be Miss America to do that or something. And I started doing that. And then it was almost like all of the things growing up, like my family, it was a family of intellectuals, and I was always the odd duck because I just wanted to talk about my friends and let's do this and let's have a party and let's, you know, make friends. And they'd be like, you've got to focus and you need to study. And I'd say, do I? Like, I'm a cheerleader and I'm going to be vice president of student body and I'm a volunteer. And it was always about other people. And I think that year, instead of always thinking I was short because I wasn't making enough money, I wasn't using my intellect in a career, I think instead of concentrating on those things, I started being rewarded professionally for just being me, for just loving people, and for loving connecting with people. And I think that being rewarded for that, it wasn't even the reward. It was being able to do that and having the means to do that. It filled my soul up in such a way I can't even put into words. It was like there was so much joy from just getting to be with people and getting to be myself with people that it brought all the joy. And I look back at the past like 7 years, and listen, 2020, I've been going through the hardest time of my life. It's just part of it. And the thing is I'm not alone. Everybody I know is going through something really horrible right now with COVID. But then there are other people that are just going through all these little traumas right now and tragedies. And we're not to the point where we get to triumph yet. You know, I have one friend who has triumphed right now during this, by the way, side note. If you don't follow, it's, I think, City Girl Gone Mom. And she is amazing. Her son, Boss Baby Brody, has been everywhere in the press. You know who I'm talking about? This
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta look that up.
The reason I share it, oh my gosh, it's like Boss Baby Brody. He has been like on everything, and they just got a huge deal. Variety covered it, and then they were on, they just got picked up by William Morris Endeavor, and he is this beautiful little angel of a human that I cannot go a day without watching videos of, because it's like Bob Fosse was reincarnated in this child. He like choreographs at age, I think, 3, and he's just all energy and light, and it's like everyone else is struggling, and then I see this child just becoming a star, but because he is such a light to the world. So I know I digress, but I just want to say that like there's so many people going through traumas and tragedies right now, but to see this one friend of mine triumph, and to see her family and her little boy who wears princess outfits, to see them shine and light up the world is probably the brightest spot right now, you know? And so anyway, I did digress, but but I think that's, finding your joy is really funny. What do you enjoy doing? And that's what I started asking myself. And that's what I ask when I host workshops and stuff. I say, what makes you happy? Like, what makes you you? I think I did this with you even when we met. It was like, I have a worksheet. I don't think did I kick you the worksheet?
No, you didn't give me the worksheet, but you did give it to me straight with no chaser at breakfast. Miss Ellie was there. I remember the day, and it was awesome because the gems you dropped, I still use and still think about when I write my captions, when I show up to the world. So I hope you know that did not fall on deaf ears, and I'm forever grateful for that because it changed something in me. It really, really did. So thank you for that, Dawn.
Thank you for saying that, because I will tell you, when we met, I want y'all to know too, like Victoria walks in and she is just like, so, and I am not so much like that. Like, I would like to be like that, but it's like, it's not even J-Lo. It's like, I don't know. It's like Beyonce's alter ego you were, right? At that, French coffee place. And she walks in like this, and she's like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is going to have him do it, and blah, 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 blah. And I hope it's okay to say this, but
Please.
I remember I was a little bit like, whoa. And not in a bad way. Like, part of it's like, wow, that energy. And I remember thinking, the energy doesn't need to be harnessed or bridled, but I think it needs to be directed a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I remember we talked, because I was like, I think it was like, what do you have to offer? Like, what is it that makes you different? You're like, well, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, but why are you going to do that? And why? And it's funny because I remember I left going, I was pretty hard on her. Like, I was really hard on her.
No, I didn't take it that way at all.
Okay.
I did not take it that way. I was like, I love Dawn. She's
good.
I remember going back to Caitlin, and I was like, listen, your girl Dawn, that one right there, I like her a lot. No, I appreciate it so much. And what you did is you forced me to, because I'm like this, right? I'm a visionary, big thinker.
Yes,
and
you are. It's great
to bring it like this, and also get a reality check of like, listen, if this is the space you want to be in, you have to start thinking about it in this way. Because this is the reality of it. And so I remember we went through my Instagram, and he was like, this, no, this, no, this, no, this, more this, no. I remember, and I was like, yes, give it to me. Give me the knowledge.
I call it, I do it with my clients too. We call it doing an Instagram audit or a social media audit. And and I've had to do it with mine before. I've removed posts like recently, even I was just like, okay, what doesn't represent my life at this point? You just take it out. Or what doesn't represent me as a brand? Or, I hate that term, by the way, me as a brand. It's just me.
We're all a brand.
That is. But I do want to say to you, and she didn't hire me to say this, by the way, but you took what I said, and I remember I actually really did feel like, wow, it was really tough on her. And instead of like letting it deter you, or like letting it like define exactly what you were going to do, you took it and you ran with it. And what you said about that, you're like out here and you had to go like this, I actually don't know if that's what you did at all. In fact, what I think you did is you were kind of out here, and then you went like whoosh, and like you kind of took like a direction. But to watch your journey and like to see you featured in Forbes, I was like, oh my gosh. It was
crazy.
Such an amazing day for me to see you in it was like, that wasn't that much time after. It was like, what, a year or two?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is unreal. And it really I just felt like, wow, not only she listened to what I said, but she also, more importantly, listened to her instincts and listened to, you made it about other people. And I think that goes back to kind of what I was saying. It's like you started making it about other people, whereas you came in like, what do I need to do? And I need to do this. And you're like, I actually need to make this about other people. And honey, you won the game. I'm like,
I'm still playing the game. I'm still playing the game. I don't know if
not over.
It, but still playing the game. But I do remember that day, and I appreciate that day. And it's a good segue to my next question, because one of the things I was kind of like struck by and just found so admirable is literally the captions on your pictures tell a story. It's like a story, like you're reading a story, and they're so raw and vulnerable. And I want to know, like, how long does it take you to write those things? Like, how do you plan? Because they're good.
Um, you know, I really appreciate that. First of all, I don't take very long. In fact, I'm known, this is probably why I don't have any books published yet. I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to my writing, in terms of, if it doesn't come easily and through me, because usually, like, that's how it hits me. There's this great Liz Gilbert thing where, actually, I'll finish this and I'll say that. It just comes into me. And my friend Kelsey Patel, who has an amazing book out, by the way, that launched this week, called Burning Bright, she's like my spiritual leader friend. And she would say, like, oh, I got a hit. And when you get a hit, you need to really pay attention. And I feel like creatively, I really know how to tap into the hits. Sometimes I don't always follow through, or I procrastinate. But when I get a real hit, like, okay, that's an idea and I got to get it down right now, or else it's going to go to somebody else. And the reason I think of that is Liz Gilbert did this amazing TED Talk where she talked about this poet laureate who would, like, she was this older woman by the time Liz had interviewed her, I think. And she would be out in the fields and she would get this poem, the cotton fields, and she would get this poem that would be coming, like, through her. And so she would run back to the house and, like, grab a pen and write it down. And a lot of times it would just flow into the page. Like, she didn't even have a choice. It would just come out, all these words. But then sometimes she missed it. And she'd go running back to the house. She'd put pen to paper, and it would go through the pen out before she got it to the paper, meaning it went on to someone else. And I think that's something I think about all the time. Is Liz Gilbert talks about this also in that same TED Talk, is that a lot of substance abuse, which, you know, is at a whole other level right now, mental illness, which is at a whole height right now. A lot of suicide addiction with our artists is, if you look at it, there's just so much ego involved. It's all about, oh, I wrote the best book. You know, oh my gosh, I wrote the song. It's, like, amazing. When you take the gratitude and the inspiration out of it, you have these shells of pieces of work and a lot of ego. And it doesn't leave a lot of room for magic. And so, like, the same reason why I might get a good idea, and by the time I write it down, because I get a call, I forget it. And I'm like, shoot. You have to pay attention to the magic. And I feel like when you are a writer, when you are an artist, when you're a musician, I feel like you have to pay attention to that magic swirling around you, and you have to listen to those little hits you get to write stuff down. And I think that if you do that, I think that magic can happen. I don't even remember your original question, but I love that I just went on. That was a hit, by the way.
How long does it take you to write those captions? Because they're stories, but I like where this went, because what shines through with you is your authenticity. And it is, you know, really showing up as your true self, whether you feel like you want to or not, and whether or not you feel like you're in a good place. There was something that I want to quote you on, because it stuck out to me. It was in a recent post, and you said, it's a lot to be shiny all the time. So with somebody who is on the gram, who is the light, who is inspirational, how do you manage that? Because I sometimes feel that too, because I feel like it's pressure to have this gift of extending this light, and feeling like you always need to show up. So can you talk about what that meant to you, and how do you manage it?
That's an example of when I wrote that. It felt like magic. It felt like that wasn't crafted. Like, as I said, when I write posts, they just go onto the page or onto the phone. And I usually, if it's like a money thing or a work thing or something risky, I'll usually send it to my ex, who's my best friend, Chris Richards. Holla. He's my proofreader. He's my proofreader. And he'll go through it, because I don't edit very well in that way. That line came because I have not been able to share as much on social media this year, for reasons that, you know, like, I can't share as much right now. And it's a little bit different, because I'm so used to being, like, a completely open book. I mean, I feel like I put myself out to the world, and you have to take the good and the bad with that. But it's, you know, it's not just about me anymore. So, like, I just have to be I realized that there are things I can share, and there are things that maybe I just keep for me, right? Like that's what I'm learning. And I found myself in 2020, like so many people, I had great sadness. There was sadness, there was loss, there was grief, all of these things that unfortunately I'm not alone in. I literally get messages every day. I lost my mother. I lost my father to COVID. I lost my neighbor. I mean, right now, what already has been going on in the world, my dear neighbor is currently in hospice, right here. Like, and there are chalk writings, pieces of artwork on the back driveway because she can't come outside because she is dying of cancer. And all of the grief around me right now feels sometimes like so much. And so being like, hi, I made cupcakes today, does not really feel authentic. Or, here's a beauty product, does not feel as authentic as I'm having a really hard day. And is anybody else out there like that? I mean, I think the post, either that post or a different one, I can't remember. I had one though where so many people wrote me like, girl, I'm with you. But I had one where I was lying for hours on the floor looking at my chandelier because I was talking to friends who, like, people had been laid off, people were getting divorced, somebody had, a relative with COVID. It was just like bam, 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 on top of whatever I was going through. And so I just lay on my breakfast room floor. I call it the sweet suite, the baking suite. I lied there, I guess is the right way. I can never think of the right word. I think lie. I lie there for like 3 hours. And by the time I was like, well, how the hell did I never notice how beautiful this chandelier was? Like, it looks like a cake on my ceiling. I'll have to show you. It's beautiful. And I just wrote, and I was like, this is the time we dig into the nooks and crannies of our mind, the nooks and crannies of our heart, of our talents, of our homes. Like, I mean, that's why everybody's doing these home projects. But that means you don't have to be shiny, and you can look up for the lighting fixture and cling to that when maybe you don't have enough strength to shine. Because no one can be shiny all the time. And I have learned time and time again, even this year I've had friends go through divorce and I'm like, they had a perfect marriage. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And it was not, Instagram is not life. Instagram is pictures of life. And the best we can do is be as authentic as we can in that day with what we're given, and that is what I try to do. I can do a better job, but I also am learning that it's okay to keep some things for me. Like that, I do not need to be an open book for all the world to see. Maybe sometimes I can keep things for just me. And that, I think, is a real strength. I don't, it might change. It might be another season and I'm like, please, everybody. I mean, I did share eye patches while I was on Peloton today and I was like, look, y'all, I'm using these eye patches. But that gave me joy. And that's what I think I'm starting to let my life be dictated by. Even in these dark corners of our life, can we find a little hole of light where the joy can come in, And if we can do that, it's like that Rumi quote, right? You have to crack and let the light shine in. It's like, if we can, while not just let it crack and then afterwards you're like, oh, the light shine in. No, while you're in it and you're like, I'm in the dark. How am I going to get out of the dark? Where is that tunnel light? 'Cause I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the end of it. But if you can see just the little holes of life in the corners of the crown molding around the room, then that gives you something to hold on to. And I think that if you can share that with people, because God knows right now, that's all I want. I just want to be inspired. I just want, show me inspiration. I mean, I'm wearing these actually, totally unrelated, but this is the giving keys, and I have a newer friend named Caitlin Crosby, and I think she was one of the founders of this, I don't know the right term. And then this is Kate Swale. And Kate Swale gave me the giving key, and she happens to be this amazing jewelry designer, but she's a single mom of 2. I've known her since high school, and like, I wear these pieces whenever I need to feel a little bit stronger because those women inspire me. And right now I want quotes. I want Brene Brown. I want my friend Matt Maher. I want Kelsey Patel's book. I want all these people to fill me up with light. And I just need someone to tell me it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You can't see maybe right now, everybody, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I have my mom who's an accounting professor who, when she was staying here for like 8 weeks in the beginning of the year, she's like, I just can't say that. She's such a practical pragmatist. But,
Like, I'm sorry,
but it was great because it made me fight.
To me for that. Sorry.
But I love her to death, that it really did teach me, like, you know what, like, if she's going to be the practical one, then you know what, you've got to go even more optimistic. It's not I'm going to show you.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be okay, Dawn.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, as pourers, meaning we're often pouring into other people, sometimes people forget that we need to be poured into just as much, right? In order to do this pouring, it's heavy.
Yeah,
heavy lifting. And so, you know, those strong friends out there, check in on them, say everything's going to be okay, whether you think they need to hear it or not. Because we all need to hear it, regardless if we're the weak friend, the strong friend, the aggressive friend, whatever it is, we all need to hear it and be there for one another. And I think that's the reason why you've been able to build such a supportive and loyal community, is because you have been such a pourer, you have been a light, you have been inspirational, sharing your wins and also sharing your losses. So how have you been able to build this community? Was it one thing that happened, or when did you start seeing like, oh wow, like people are really engaging with me, like this is a thing?
You know, it started so funny in the beginning. I would write about it would be like one line little things. It'd be like, you know, cutest cupcakes or something. And it just felt so not me, because if you can't tell, I'm kind of a wordy person. Verbosity is definitely my, or verboseness. I don't know which word now. I talk a lot. I'm loquacious. And I remember I was writing about, I had that blog, Beauty Frosting, and I was writing about cupcakes and beauty and all those things and all the things I love that made me happy, and decor and stuff. And I went to, and Kelly Golightly always knows this, I went to a party at her house, and she's just such a fabulous human being who, like, her life is what her Instagram is. It really, truly is. And she's a really authentic person. It's just a fabulous life. And I went to a party at her house, and then afterwards there were a number of girls and I that were influencers that were in a hotel. Kelly was with us. And I remember that day, I've told this before, I know, recently on a podcast, but it was like this huge shift in my life of how I started cultivating like new friends and people. And hi, Paul. Hi, Paul Giuliano. And hi, Chris Richards. So I remember I had Ross Matthews, who had found out I was the voice of Marshalls. Like, I was doing like never pay full price for fabulous. And that was my Marshalls, ad that ran for years. It was so fun. My mom said all the money we spent at Marshalls was finally returned to us. Yeah, it finally made sense. But I remember I told Matt I had this really like pretty swimsuit on that I thought it, didn't have much support, and I'm like a, kind of a chestier girl. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too R-rated.
No, shout out to the chesty girls.
Okay, good. And I remember I thought I looked like a really cool 70s, like Jacqueline Smith, Priscilla Presley situation going on. And I mean, I remember feeling confident. Like, it was one of the first times I felt confident. Not first times, it was one of the main times I remember feeling confident. And I remember Ross was so excited. He put it on his feed and everything, like, Dawn, do the voice. And later that night, we're at the hotel, and all these influencers are in a hot tub, and they're talking about, and I'm not knocking them at all, but they're talking about things, and I'm listening, and it's like Botox and cellulite and like beauty products and some like, what are those expensive shoes? Like the Louboutins. I hate shoes. So that's a weird fun fact about me. I'm barefoot like all the time, or in Uggs. And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, and I just got out of the hot tub, and they're like, are you not going to stay? And I'm like, no, I'm going to go take a bath. And I went to take a bath. And I was like, this is just not my jam. Like, I'm not, whatever I'm doing right now to like be talking about this stuff, I might need to reconfigure. And I went up to take a bath, and in the meanwhile, I realized I've been tagged in all these things on like Facebook, and I pull it up, and Ross's page on Facebook had been overrun by all these people saying that I need a more supportive bathing suit, and how my boobs looked saggy, or like all this stuff about my boobs. And I was just like, this world, this is not the life I'm going for right now. And I remember I cried, and then I was like, no, like, this is just not, what is this? This is nothing. I had friends from college that were defending me, like, she's a great person. And I'm like, has nothing to do with myself. And it was just like, it was just a 70s style bathing suit. It wasn't even like, and somebody was really smart and wrote, maybe she can pay full price for a bra if she can't pay full price for fabulous or whatever, like, you know, from the quote, from the motto. But what I left with is literally the next day, I think I wrote about it or I wrote something. And it was like, from then on, it just was like, nope, I don't have the time for the superficial stuff anymore. And I'm just going to write from the heart. And if it's sometimes hard for me to write like that, or if it's hard for people to hear, then they'll go away. But I rarely get negative comments. Like, you know, people, I just posted the other day, I had a sports bra on with leggings in Nashville. Did you see that? It was a story, and I had a donut.
No, I didn't see that.
It was just an Insta story, but I had like a donut and
oh yes, you were in pink tights. Yes.
And I had this one hater, like, I mean, I've only had one and she was really persistent for a while, but I had one and she just went off about how like I was making the world like have diabetes and heart attacks because I liked donuts. Hi, Diana. Process. And I remember I had felt, again, it was like I felt confident. So it's almost, that's a really great realization, y'all. Like two of the times I remember being confident, which isn't all the time. Two of the times that I remember being like, I'm going to put myself up in a sports bra and I actually feel kind of okay about it. And that's not normally how I feel about my body. And then I almost was like dissed for it. And so it's interesting that those two times that I felt somewhat confident, somebody tried to take me down a little bit. And I think what I'm realizing about myself is I don't think I can.
Oh, did I lose
Wrong. Sorry, that was my assistant calling.
Okay.
Sorry. I should have put on Do Not Disturb. And hopefully she won't call back. I didn't do Not Disturb, so we'll just switch it real quick. But I think that's the thing is like, you know, if you have an inner strength to you, if you have an inner core and it's real, it's not just like, you know, a lot of times you'll meet people that are real cocky or like overly confident and usually inside they're not.
Right.
It's not the same. And I feel like if you've got a confident, strong core, I feel like you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay.
Definitely.
And usually that's from being foundation. That's right. And it is usually you know, it's what is that thing? It's the teacup quote, like or no, it's a tea bag. You know how you make a woman stronger is that you see how strong she is by, it's Eleanor Roosevelt. If you see how strong she is by being like the tea bag and water thing. This is a horrible story. I will totally have to tell you. But I knew I had it. And then
I get where you're trying to go with it.
My assistant's writing me like, I'm dropping off stuff outside your door. And I'm like, okay.
That is funny. But this is a good segue to the question that I ask all of my guests. And it is, why are you a woman who roars?
Well, let me ask you this. What do you, I'm sorry to turn it on you, but
no.
A roar is a loud noise, right? You just mean like a woman that is like projects, right?
I think it really is whatever it means to you. So it can be somebody who projects, who is loud. It can be somebody who moves in silence but has major impact. I think it really is however you define it, and why you define it that way is why you are a woman who roars.
I love the way you just described that. And even just you talking just made me calm down. Why am I a woman who roars? I think you only roar because you have reason to, right? Like, sadly, women who have never gone through anything, who've never had struggles or traumas or tragedies or, you know, difficult relationships or childhoods or failures. I feel like you only roar when you have to roar louder than someone else or roar loudly enough to be heard. So I think in a way I'm a woman who roars because I have been tested a number of times. I have been hurt and broken and fallen and failed and thought that was it and maybe I'm out for the count. And then I find that little voice inside me and I start whispering a little bit. And then it's like, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. And then it's like, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm great, you know? And then with that roar, it isn't that you just get to roar. It's that then you have to roar so other people can hear. And then you've got to be the voice for the voiceless. And that to me is why I guess I'm a woman that roars, is that I will never be the quiet one. And I don't mean just talking wise. I mean, I will never let someone be in pain and not be a voice for them. And I won't know everyone in pain, but if you're in my path and I think I need to advocate for you, or if I need to be a little stronger because you can't, because you're my friend or you're a stranger I met, then that's what I will do. And I will roar.
I love that. That was beautiful, Dawn. And I think really speaks to the beautiful soul that you had that I got to experience in person, in the flesh. So it is real, y'all. I can attest to it. But Dawn, thank you for being you.
Thank you.
And please know everything is going to be okay. And you are a badass. You always have been. And even though a lot of us may not be feeling like we have our badass persona within us, she is there. She is there patiently waiting for you to tap on her so she can go ahead and roar and be your champion. Just let her do it. Don't
that
her from
is
doing
right.
it. Exactly. But thank you so much for being on the series. I appreciate you, Mama. I love you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you on the gram.
I just want to tell you thank you too, and I'm thanking you on behalf of. I know that right now, like, you know, on these lives, I feel like like people are never here. Like, it's so rare unless you're like a, you know, the president or the Kardashian or what have you. It's, you know, you never have a lot of, but then people go and visit later and they'll like keep coming back and trickling in. So I just want to tell everybody here and those that come later, how beautiful that you've created this space for people. And, you know, not just in terms of needing people to inspire, but like, look at what comes out. Like, I didn't know I was going to talk like this today. I certainly didn't wake up and be like, I'm so strong, I'm roaring. Yes. But you're making that come out in me. And I wouldn't have known that I needed to say anything I said today unless you made this beautiful space. So thank you for creating it, and thanks for having me. I'm so honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. And that's one of the reasons why I did the series, is because ironically what I'm providing to you is what this experience provides to me. It brings me some type of like peace and joy and normalcy, and reminds me like we're freaking incredible regardless of what's going on in our environment and what is surrounding us. We are amazing. We can get through anything. We are courageous, all of that good stuff. So it provides that for me as much as it does for my guests, and that really warms my heart. That is what you've experienced today. So thank you, Dawn.
Well, I love that. And someone just wrote, because she's the bomb.
That's my girl EJ. I love her.
I love that. I love that.
But enjoy the rest of your night, Mama, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.